Let's start the short demonstration with this slide, showing on the left-hand side the HR system that is connected to Clear Skye IGA using a Clear Skye connector. A new person joins, Jonathan Smith. He's got a role of customer service rep with a unique employee ID. Clear Skye, through automation, automatically detects the new joiner and creates a staging account within the identity warehouse. From this staging position, flow design and workflow will execute, driven by policy, to determine the characteristics of the identity, such as how we name the identity and what target system accounts and entitlements the new joiner receives through the access policy evaluation. Let's jump over to Clear Skye and see how this is put together. As mentioned, the policy that drives this behavior is called the profile configuration. There can be multiple profile configurations in place. Here's one I created earlier. The first thing to note is the reference to the environment is the HR feed system. The second is the classification table. Here we're going to be detecting staged joiners in the account table. There's a condition applied to those staged accounts. Here we want to look at the native type. This has been imported from the HR system, and we've got a C for contractor. We give the profile configuration a name that's meaningful, and then we get on to the actual characteristics of the onboarding, the naming convention we apply to the new worker, and the type of profile within Clear Skye itself. Here we have contractor. This could also be supplier, employee, and so forth. These tabs across this table denote the lifecycle events. Let's look at the Create tab. Here we have a subflow. This is a flow designer artifact that Clear Skye provide out of the box. Next we have Update, if there are any attribute updates that can trigger a mover event. And then Enable or Disable. The profile configurations here are not only used for HR systems, but also other integrations such as the service portal within ServiceNow, allowing contractors to be onboarded through the native service portal record producers using a web form. Given that the HR system is authoritative for the state of the worker, we want to exclude the HR system from events such as Disable or Enable, because the HR system is authoritative, not Clear Skye. The new joiner is a gentleman called Paul Smith, and he's a contractor. Let's go and have a look in the Clear Skye profile table to see if he exists. There are two records, neither are Paul Smith. The next step will typically be automated, but for the purpose of the demonstration it's going to be manual. Here I am on the environment record that denotes the connection to the HR system. You see in the top right it's set as an authoritative environment. The import configuration is the record that we need to execute in order to detect the changes. Again, this is set to on demand at the moment, but typically it will be automated. Let's launch the HR feed. The processing has moved on to post-processing, and now it's completed. Let's have a look at the result of this import. Going back to the profile records, we can see there's a new entry for Paul Smith, a contractor that's currently disabled. Let's open up this record. We can see that the characteristics of the new identity profile originate from the HR system. There's a number of accounts that have already been correlated from the identity warehouse. And there's an access policy, the onboarding policy, that's been applied as well. On the Request tab, we can see the identity create request. It's currently in open stage. Let's open up this request. We can see information relating to the request and also that it's pending approval by Abraham Lincoln. Let's go ahead and approve this. I've logged on as the approver Abraham Lincoln, and here is the identity request for Paul Smith. I'm going to go ahead and approve this. Returning as the IGA administrator, I can now see that Paul Smith's profile is active. I can see the applied policy and the accounts that Paul has. This concludes the onboarding for Paul Smith. Let's go and have a look at the Flow Designer to see what actually happened. I've gone over to the Flow Designer section of ServiceNow in the admin portal, and I can see here using the timestamp the flow executions that occurred during the onboarding of John Smith. Initially, there's an execution of IGA Lifecycle new account. This is the flow that's executed when a new account is created in the warehouse from the authoritative system. Automatically then there's a new identity request created. As part of the identity request, there are correlations performed. Correlation to the identity warehouse to determine if this new worker already has an account within the identity warehouse. We don't want to create a new account if one already exists. Secondly, since we're on the ServiceNow platform, there's already a user store, the sysuser table. The new identity is correlated to the sysuser table automatically. You can see here the flow for the new account IGA lifecycle event. The trigger is the account is created. The first step is to go to get the correlation policies. It then determines if the correlation is not found and the account is authoritative to perform additional processing. The flow to call is dynamically configured back on the profile configuration we saw earlier. Here is the subflow that performs the correlation from profile to account. This implements the policy configuration performed as the IGA administrator. Let's go and have a look at that correlation policy from the admin perspective. And here's the list of correlation policies provided out of the box with Clear Skye. Let's go ahead and open one up. You can see here the correlation policy is active. It has a short description and description. There's a source and target field. The source record is the profile table. The target is the account. We're looking for orphan accounts where there's no profile and the status is active. We can also manually correlate these policies if we choose to do so. Each policy has one or more correlation entries. There are 2 correlation entries on this default policy. These can be field matching or script based. They are processed in the order specified on the screen here. Let's go ahead and open one up. You see the source table profile to the target table account. This is a very simple example with an email field. It's field matching. It can also be script for more extensive evaluation. And here's an example of the parameters required for the script to execute. Let's go back and not save our changes. There are other correlation policies exampled provided to check for the profile to active sysuser, as well as account to active profiles. Customers can feel free to configure these out of the box policies or provide the new ones. Let's go back and have a look at the newly created identity profile record. You can see here the effects of the correlation. The profile has an owner user reference to the sysuser table in ServiceNow. The profile also has a reference to these 6 accounts which already existed in the identity warehouse as a result of prior testing. The information on the profile relating to the organization automatically came from the HR feed. Here you can see the department, the cost center, the location, and the employee number. Now we've successfully onboarded the new profile, let's go through to the next scenario. This is the user offboarding, where within the HR system, a change is made to the employee's record. They are disabled. That change is automatically detected by Clear Skye using a connector, and then resulting in the execution of the flow and consultation to the profile configuration policy to determine what to happen. Let's go and do this demo now. Let's return to Clear Skye as the IGA administrator and go back to the environment record we saw earlier. We're going to import the HR feed again. The feed is progressing. We're in the post-processing stage now, and we're finally completed. Let's have a look at the effects of this import. We can see there's an IGA request which was profile disable. This is closed complete. Let's go back to the profile configuration record and have a look what the configuration told the workflow to do. The profile configuration record denotes that the subflow to run is called profile disable. The environments to exclude on disable include the HR feed. As mentioned earlier, we don't want to disable the HR record because we're reacting to a change in its state. And the account types to disable are the standard account types. This concludes the demonstration of the user offboarding. If you'd like to learn more about Clear Skye, come and join us at the Gartner IAM conference in Las Vegas later in August. Thank you very much.